Hello, welcome to the weekly iTNet Tech Update. Since we're getting close to the end of the year, this month is going to be, this month's topic, we're going to be covering getting ready for 2023. So that way you're not rushing to complete a plan during the holidays, right? We want to give you plenty of time. So today we're going to be discussing compliance. And when creating your 2023 budget plan, it's good to remember the standards and compliance requirements that your office has that you must uphold regarding client confidentiality, communications, and cyber insurance. So today we're going to share some compliance facts that you should consider. Hello, I'm Michael Kinnett, CEO and founder of iTernal Networks. Every Friday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and my personal LinkedIn, I discuss the latest tech and cyberspace news that might affect you and your business. At the end of the live session, I'll also leave some time to answer questions from the audience. So if you have any tech or cybersecurity related questions, get them ready. I'll make sure to cover those at the end. To start off with today, in the news, the FBI has issued an alert to watch out for subscription renewal scams. So what these are, I've talked about these in the past on some of our other webinars and things, but criminals use phishing for a lot of different types of attacks. This is one of those. The FBI says that the criminals, quote, pose as service representatives of a company's technical or computer repair service and contact victims through email or telephone about a highly priced, soon to renew subscription. So if you've watched any of my other videos where I'm talking about phishing and the different tactics of these criminals, one of the things that they typically do is some sort of urgency, right? So with this subscription, it's, hey, this service is expiring. If you don't contact us soon, it's going to lapse and you're not going to be protected. You're not going to have the software. You're not going to have the support, whatever it is. Trying to get those victims to contact the scammers. So once they do, the scammers obtain personal and banking information that they then use to conduct unauthorized wire transfer funds, essentially stealing from the victims. So be aware of that. Being able to recognize phishing attacks for what they are, and just be vigilant, right? Make sure that your staff is trained up. We've talked about that in the past as well. We've got past webinars and past videos on our YouTube that you can watch about that. And just make sure that you're not, falling for any of these scams that are out there, because the FBI is warning there's been a drastic increase in the last month or so on these particular ones. All right, today I'm going to be talking about IT compliance standards that you need to know for budgeting. So there's lots of different types of compliance standards. I'm going to kind of explain what some of them are. If you have any compliance requirements within your organization, you may come across some of these terms. So access and identity control. What this is defines your authentication and authorization rules. What that means in layman's terms is user accounts and passwords and what they can access, and making sure that you have controls to identify the user and only give them access to what they need. Control over data sharing. That's another thing that you'll see in your cyber insurance or other requirements. And what that means is that your organization must have strict control over what data is shared with the public, what data is shared with customers. You need to have controls in place to be able to make sure that you're only sharing what you're supposed to. A lot of times when you read about breaches in the news, this is where it comes from, right? Is because, something was public facing on the website, or we sent the wrong information to the wrong people, or data was breached. And it's typically around that data control, that data sharing. Incident response. So this regulation guides the organization on mitigating, reporting, and investigating a data breach. And it's important that you know about this because there are laws in a lot of industries that require specific reporting requirements. Right? If you're in HIPAA, if you're a healthcare organization and have HIPAA requirements, you have to report that. Certain states have different requirements, so make sure that you're up to speed on what those are. Disaster recovery, right? When infrastructure fails, and it can fail for a variety of reasons. The equipment can die. It can be hacked and attacked with ransomware. It can be damaged. It can be vandalized. You can have a fire. There's so many different areas for this, and disaster recovery applies to all of them. but an organization must have the ability and a plan to be able to restore backups and productivity. And disaster recovery standards reduce the duration of downtime so that productivity and revenue don't suffer. So disaster recovery isn't just a backup. It's a complete plan on how to use a backup to recover quickly. Data loss prevention is another. To avoid suffering from data loss, compliance spells out what you have to do to protect your business revenue productivity. And that does include backup, recovery, redundancy, and some of those standards I mentioned a little bit about data sharing. Those are usually hand in hand. Another big one is you got to have protection against malware, right? All regulations require this, no matter what industry you're in. Antivirus and other anti-malware products that will protect your infrastructure from malicious code, from ransomware, from a lot of these things. And like I said, every compliance standard requires it across the environment, including on servers and on user devices. You can't pick and choose and say, well, I don't want it on the owner's laptop because it slows it down or because this or because that. Nope, like it has to be across the board to meet full regulation compliance. Corporate security policies. This is another big one that I think a lot of organizations frequently miss. The organization should have developed policies that users must follow to protect data. And those users need to know about them, right? You need to have a computer use policy, an internet use policy, a password policy, right? And your employees need to know, what are these company policies and what do I have to do in order to follow those policies? Even better, you should have controls in place to make sure that those policies are enforced. And then monitoring and reporting. Without monitoring, your organization's vulnerable to persistent threats, right? There could be stuff in there, and if you're not monitoring for it, you're not aware of it. And reporting gives your administrators and your managers the ability to review the health of your systems and kind of keep an eye on areas that may need a little bit more attention and care. Now, I've talked about some of the different controls and stuff that are related to different types of regulations and compliance, and I'm going to talk now about some of those compliance requirements. So I mentioned healthcare. If you're a healthcare organization, or if you're an organization that has patient health information, maybe you're not a healthcare organization, but you're a large enough company that you're self-insuring, and on your servers and on your systems, you have some health information about your employees as a result of the self-insurance or things of that nature. If you're a law firm and you're representing people, and as part of the lawsuit have health information about an event, an accident, whatever, you also need to protect that data. HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, and it oversees health insurers, healthcare services, healthcare providers, anyone really that's storing and transmitting patient data. So if you have that, you need to make sure that you're meeting the regulation requirements and the compliance requirements for that HIPAA regulation. PCI DSS, this is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. So if you're an organization that works with credit card data and payments, you have to comply with PCI DSS. And there are different levels of that depending on the size of your organization, of what must be tracked and monitored and reported. But if you are collecting credit cards and payments from credit card, you have to meet PCI compliance at some level. SOC 2, this is Systems and Organizational Control. So the SOC 2 compliance, this affects cloud vendors that host organization data. They must follow SOC standards and allow audits to stay compliant. Now, you could decide to get SOC 2 certified as your organization as well. You don't have to be a cloud provider. If you wanted to do it, if you had servers and a bunch of data and you said, you know what, we want to prove to our clients that we're meeting the best industry standards, you may opt to become SOC 2 compliant as part of your own company's policies. SOX is another regulation, Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. So this happened after the Enron incident. Congress passed SOX to oversee the way organizations handle electronic records, data protection, internal reporting, executive accountability. This, unless you're in the finance industry, a very specific niche probably won't affect you, but it's one that you'll hear thrown around, right? The SOX regulations and compliance. And then another big one may not affect very many of us here in the United States, But GDPR, that's General Data Protection Regulation. That was approved and became law in the EU and the European Union a couple years ago. And so if you're an organization that handles data from European Union member citizens, you have to meet GDPR. So if you're if you have an online store or whatever, and you're selling to people in Europe, you have to meet GDPR standards and compliance. And what GDPR does is it gives users more control over their data and their privacy. And we're starting to see California, New York, and other states in the United States pass similar laws. I believe it's just a matter of time before the United States enacts nationwide laws that'll be similar to GDPR. And then another big one that does affect everybody, or should affect everybody, is cybersecurity insurance compliance. So you can go out and get a cybersecurity insurance policy, but if you're not compliant with that policy, they're never going to pay out if you need them to. If they say, are you doing A, B, C, D, and you say, yep, give me my insurance, and they give you the insurance, and you have a breach or ransomware or some other cybersecurity incident, and then you say, hey, insurance company, I need you to pay out to help me, and they come in and audit as part of it, and you did not do what they asked you to do, they will not pay out. You're going to be on your own. And so it's important that you're aware of your individual cybersecurity insurance policies requirements so that you can be compliant with those in the event that you do need to utilize it. These are the different types of regulations and compliance that you and your business may need to meet. And to ensure that your business follows these compliance regulations requires the right software and services. And the first step in any solution is to find and categorize data. And so to find out more, we're going to be talking more about compliance, different things to help plan for 2023 and our upcoming webinar that'll be in December. We don't have an exact date. We're working with, we're trying to get a vendor as a guest speaker on to talk about it and trying to finalize dates and times. It's most likely going to be on Thursday at 1 p.m. in the middle of December. So exactly which week, we'll update you on that later. I do want to point out, yesterday we had a webinar, helpful tips and tricks for your 2023 budget. You can watch the replay. You can go on our site and register to get the replay. We had a guest, Matt Swan. He's a CPA and one of the founders at Swan & Gardner, CPA in Las Vegas. He shared some amazing information on things that you can do and look at on a financial side for your business to help plan for the next year. And then I talked briefly about how to plan for your IT budget for the following year. Let me see if we've got any questions that have popped up. I've seen a couple of thumbs up of people that have seen this live. I appreciate those of you that are watching. I don't see any questions in the comments. So once again, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I don't think we're going to do a live stream next week because of the holiday with Thanksgiving and then Black Friday. But I may pop on and do a quick something or other and surprise everyone. We'll see. I haven't quite decided. But hope you have a wonderful weekend. If I don't talk to you guys next week, hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you another day. Thank you.